Welcome, everybody, to the SPYPOINT podcast. I'm your host, Brian Stevens, and I am joined today. I have a special guest, Tron Peterson from Peterson Outdoor Ministries and the Lodge of Hope for Veterans. And we got some really cool topics today. You guys know this is near and dear to my heart and to Billy's heart as far as work with veterans based on my brother Mark. And I'm really excited to talk with you, Tron. And so before we get started, I just want to remind everybody to rate, review, subscribe wherever you consume podcasts. It just helps everybody follow along and be engaged, with the content that we're trying to provide and grow our audience. So with that said, Tron, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me, Brian.
Absolutely. So look, it's October, fall is coming, one of my favorite times of the year. I'm in Georgia right now. Billy's actually hunting this weekend down in Florida. So leaves are about to change and deer are going to be on their feet. And, this is, again, I'm sure like you, one of the favorite times of year.
Oh man, it's my favorite time of the year whenever the leaves are turning and being able to get out there and chase some whitetail bucks. Just recently had hernia surgery, and so just now beginning to pull back my bow, and hopefully we'll be able to get out in the woods sometime next week.
Good, nice. And where exactly are you located? Where are you at?
We're located down here in Southwest Missouri, near Chaplain, and about 15 minutes from the Kansas border.
Okay, good. Oh, that's a beautiful. That's a good place to be.
It is.
It's a good place. But I've deer hunted, a bit in Missouri, but turkey hunted quite a bit as well. And that's, listen, love to turkey hunt as well. So, but that's for another topic a few months from now. But listen, let's talk about you for a minute and talk about the organizations that you have founded, that you're so intimately involved with, and the great work that you're doing. So if you don't mind, just gives everybody a sense of, who you are and the organizations and the work that you currently are doing.
Well, my name is Tron Peterson. I'm the director of Peterson Outdoor Ministries. We're celebrating our 15th year of serving veterans. I grew up on a 5-generation family farm in Southwest Missouri and just grew up hunting and fishing, a love for the outdoors, a love for our nation, for our nation's military. And back in about 2005, whenever a lot of the guys were coming back from Iraq, Afghanistan, injured, I really had a passion to help these guys. Many of them were coming back injured with limb loss or PTSD. And I tried to think of some ways that maybe we could use our family farm to take them hunting, use some of the abilities that we were gifted with and the property we were gifted with to be able to help others. And so I started taking one veteran at a time back in 2006. We worked with a company called Be Adaptive and others to try to provide adaptive equipment for these veterans, and just started off one individual at a time, but word got out what we were doing. The Missouri Department of Conservation came on board, several local churches, landowners, individuals started getting involved, and it started to grow. And in 2009, we had our first annual large event for wounded veterans. Up until that time, we were taking them one at a time. And 2009, we had our first big event for injured veterans. They came from all the United States. And we really realized that this was something that was needed, just encouraging our nation's veterans, letting them know that there are people out there that believe in what they're doing, that care about them, care about our country, and love the outdoors and want to get them back in it.
Good for you. Good for you. And are you doing you're doing all of this right there on your family farm there in Missouri?
No, that's where we started out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we started out, and that place holds a special place in our heart. We've got about 4,500 acres north of Joplin, and as we started growing, I realized that there was a need for a disabled accessible lodge, some type of facility anyway, for our injured veterans. And so started looking for a place that might work better, a place where, we could bring in the individuals from all over, and a handicap accessible lodge or whatever. That was all the way back in 2007, whenever I just really had that vision that that we needed to have a place so that when these families came, they had all the accessibility. They were able to be ministered to as an entire family, because I believe the military family, it's a unit and they need to heal together. A lot of times organizations will just take the veteran themselves, but we take the entire family. So we have, the veteran, their spouse, their kids, everything out there for a retreat. But it was a vision that was put on my mind back in 2007 that didn't become a reality until 2017, whenever we actually found and purchased what we now call Lodge of Hope. It's a 7,000 square foot, fully disabled accessible lodge, able to serve 200 and some odd people in the dining hall. We've got, wheelchair accessible bedrooms, bathrooms. It's on 200 acres. We've also got a 4-bedroom house on the property and a 2-bedroom house. 35-acre private lake stocked with bass, catfish, crappie, spoonbill. We've got a lot of 8 to 10 pound bass in there, but the lake offers a beautiful place for the guys to get on the water all year round. And Lodge of Hope is a place for hope to happen. We bring veterans from all 50 states, and many of them say that it's what they needed, was just a chance to get outdoors, to get into the fresh air, get with people that care about them, and wet a line in the water, or bend a bow and go out chase some whitetails. So,
man, I get goosebumps thinking about it. It's amazing work. And, you said something that, I commend you on, and that is around taking care of the whole family. So, just if you'll indulge me for a minute, just, my brother, served as a special operator for, 20 plus years, and recently just got upgraded with in the Battle of Mogadishu to a Silver Star, and some of the work he did there. And, and he's the chairman of a foundation called Task Force Dagger Special Operations Foundation. And, the work that they do is similar to what you're doing, and it's about the family. And so it's not only treating the operator, but it's the family unit, because as you are fully aware, it's everybody feels it, and everybody is impacted, not just the operator. And, and obviously we're grateful for the service, but really for the family. And we put on an event down in Key West called Dagger Dive, and it's a recreational, similar type of event where the whole family is involved, and they do it through the Special Forces Dive School. So, that work, and that part of this, I think sometimes is missed. So kudos to you for, supporting not only the soldier, but the family. And I'm sure, how cool is it to see, a spouse or a son or a daughter or somebody be able to catch a fish or be in a deer blind and, experience that, with, their parent. And that's just an amazing thing.
Well, I'm reminded of a story back in 2009, whenever we had that big event I was telling you about, with all the veterans from different states. And there was a couple of spouses there with them that were caregivers. And one of the wives was staying in the trailer and didn't come out all that much. And we were kind of worried about her. And so my sister-in-law went out and talked to her and said, I hope everything's okay. Is there anything we can do for you? And she said, you guys don't understand. She said, this is the first time since my husband was injured that I know that he is well taken care of, and I'm able to relax for the first time. She said, I'm just laying here in the camper listening to the birds sing and just enjoying myself, knowing that my family is being taken care of. And, that really registered with us. And from then on, the spouses started being a part of the events and their families. And so what we do a lot of times is we'll bring in limousines to pick up the spouses and take them to the day spa for the day and just pamper them. We have local sponsors that help cover the cost of those things, and we just treat them like a queen. A lot of the wives of some of these male veterans haven't had a chance to get a break, or be pampered or whatever. And so we spend that 4-day retreat, is usually about how long each of our retreats are. We spend day after day just doing special things for the spouses and for the kids. the kids might get out and do archery or tomahawk throwing or fishing. And, the wives, besides the spa day, they are, we'll have a big brunch or dinner or something for them. And all the military wives get to hang out together and talk. And they become a tight knit group that later becomes a support team for years to come. It's just incredible to see the entire family enjoying themselves. I've had wives that have came up to me and said, in the past, my husband went to different events or whatever, and he comes back and he tells me all about it. And I've been here taking care of the family and needing a break. But at your events, the whole family experiences it. And, she said, that's really helpful. That's something that we really need. And so we've made that a point the last 15 years to really do our best anyway to include the families.
That's awesome. I mean, I just, again, kudos to you guys and the difference that makes for, the whole family unit. And again, the kids, the spouse, and the fact that I'm sure as the soldier that's attending, that you guys are willing to, share that expense and treat their spouse that way. I think what it does too, Tron, is it allows them to be more comfortable to enjoy themselves. Because I bet you have a lot of these guys that are just heroic kind of individuals, and they may be reluctant to go and share some of these things or take advantage of it because they don't want to be away from their family, or they feel guilty in a sense. And so when you provide that wraparound, I think it just allows them to be comfortable to enjoy it and take advantage of the experience because they know their spouse and their kids are also being taken care of. So that's a beautiful thing.
Well, we enjoy it. I come from a military family, military background, as far as several relatives, and just really appreciate what we've been given as a nation, and believe in our military and what they're doing. And so, I think back to some of those early years and just trying to make a difference in one life at a time and seeing that grow. We've went through a lot of changes over the years as we've seen the needs arise. Back in 2011, we started bringing in military chaplains once a year for our military chaplain retreats. To me, that was something that was very important, as the military chaplains were, many times they would have anywhere from 2,000 to 15,000 troops under their direct care as a chaplain. And we felt like if we could, just really encourage these chaplains from bases all across the United States, that we could make a larger impact. Many of these chaplains were going into the military hospitals, the warrior transition units, when these guys would come back injured in combat. And those chaplains would talk to them and say, hey, do you like to go hunting or fishing, or, what do you like to do? And many times these individuals would be like, I used to love to hunt and fish, but as you can see, I'm missing my arms or legs or whatever. And these chaplains would say, hey, I've been to a place in Southwest Missouri, and we can get you taken care of. We can get you back in the outdoors. We can get you fishing, hunting, doesn't matter what your disability is. And so working with those military chaplains at almost every base across the United States has been a real key element in finding veterans that can really use our program.
No, that's wow. That's beautiful. So again, it's the networking piece and getting everybody involved to spread the word and get them engaged. And, as they get to experience this, then they get to share. And, and there are a lot of organizations out there that I think try to do good work. But what you're describing is you're building a legacy that can stand on its own in the work that you're doing. And so, again, I've fortunately been exposed to, that world and, know what it can do. And so I commend you on that. So anybody that's listening right now, if you've had an opportunity to be, a part of, know somebody through Peterson Outdoor Ministries or at the Lodge of Hope, and, make a comment or share, or if there's a, organization or foundation or just some work that you do, for the veterans and the outdoors, make some comments and share with us. So Tron, now I want to talk a little bit about some stories. I know you got to have some cool hunting stories some cool fishing stories over the years. I think back in that Rolodex of memories and maybe share, a couple that are just really memorable. I've got a few that I'll share with you, but I'll let you go first and enlighten us on some of those.
Well, I've got a story that kind of worked within the foundation of our ministry, kind of set a stage for it. And then I might share a story of one of our veterans hunts that really stuck out. But back in 2005, my identical twin brother about died with Lyme disease. And he was really at that point in his life where the pain and everything he was going through was almost too much to bear. And so I contacted, I think it was Christian Bow Hunters of America. They were having their big hunt down at Tar Hollow Wildlife Area in Ohio. And we ended up going to this hunt. I surprised my brother. I knew he wanted to go on that hunt. I arranged for everything to happen, and we wasn't sure if he was going to be strong enough to even make the trip. But anyway, we was able to make the trip to Ohio. All the bow hunters, there's over 100 bow hunters there. They just really embraced him and just encouraged him. Many of them knew his struggle with Lyme disease. But on this particular hunt, I really was hoping that I would be able to encourage my brother in a way that would help him hang on to life and not give up. And so we were hunting, and I think the first morning I seen antler tips about 400 yards away, and I grunted. The buck started slowly turning and kind of coming downwind. He worked his way along the ridge and got to be about 25 yards from me. I pulled back and made what I thought was a good shot, but the arrow deflected on a limb and hit the very back portion of the buck's rear end. But he went down to the ground hard and just started running. He was bouncing off trees and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I must have hit something back there that that was really, and so he took off. And make a long story short, this buck, we ended up trailing him, jumping him up throughout the remainder of that entire day. We spent about 10 hours, 12 hours tracking him that day. My twin brother, at one point, he ended up, he was too tired to continue hunting. And so he started to walk back to the truck. It was about a quarter mile away. And we had lost the blood trail and about given up on this buck. And my brother, he's almost a quarter mile away from where we were last trailing the blood. And he lays down on the lane because he couldn't make it back to the truck. Well, he's laying there. He rolls over on the side and sees blood right there where he's laying.
Oh my gosh.
He starts yelling and goes, "Hey, I came running over there. I thought he was hurt." And he said, "Hey, there's blood from your buck right here where I laid down." And so the trail was back on.
Wow.
We went up this, or actually I went up this big steep hillside and jumped my buck up on top. I could tell he was fatally wounded. But then all of a sudden a thunderstorm came in. It just completely washed all the blood trail away. He had went on to 19,000 acres of national or state forest or whatever. And so I had no idea once that storm came in, what direction he headed. It was going to be like a needle in a haystack. But we went back, talked to the guys. We kind of reevaluated the shot and, just kind of devised a plan for the next day. Went out there, spent hours looking for him. Had no idea what direction he went in. After about 3 hours, I ended up just really feeling like I needed to find this buck because, my brother had mentioned something. He's like, he kept on saying it would be, it's against all odds. If you find that buck, it's against all odds. He says, there's just no way you're going to find that thing in 19,000 acres. You don't know what direction it went. But, and I was just sitting there thinking, sometimes there's a lot of things in life that seem impossible, but whenever they become possible, they encourage people in huge ways. And so I just felt like I had this drive. I needed to find this buck, and that my brothers life depended upon it. And I couldn't explain it, but that's all I could think about.
Mhm.
And so I'm miles back in this national forest, have no idea if I'm in the right direction or anything. And I decided to say a prayer, and I just asked the Lord. I'm like, if, I said, I know my brother's struggling. If, I feel like this buck is something that if I can find it, I can show him that, that even when things are impossible, good things can still happen, and maybe give him a chance to kind of hold on to life a little longer. And so I got up from praying, and a buddy who was also helping track the deer, he had no idea where it was located either, but he seen me off in the distance, came over there, and I said, man, I just said a prayer. I said, I have no idea where this buck is, but I feel like we need to find it. He said, let's split on one on each side of this little dry creek, and let's walk back towards the truck. It's about a mile or two away from where we were. And so he starts walking, and then all of a sudden he lets out this, like a kid that got their favorite present at Christmas time underneath the tree. I mean, he's hooping and hollering. I knew he found the buck. I go running over there, and I mean, we were like two kids. We were
That's
rolling on the ground, laughing, just so happy, to find it. And it
yep.
turns out that on that 19,000 acres, the only way that you would have saw that buck is if you walk within 5 feet of it. There was some multiflora rose bushes at the base of this big, huge hillside, and there was a depression in it, and the buck had fell into that depression in between the ridge and the dry creek. And so you had to walk within 5 feet to find the buck on that 19,000
Wow.
acres. And we did. And so we ended up dragging that buck back all the way to the lane where my brother was. And, whenever we came up there to him, he said, he said, I was positive that there was no way for you to find that buck, but he said the fact that you found it, that gives me hope that maybe I can overcome this Lyme disease and hang on. And so I call that the against all odds buck, because there wasn't a chance in the world that we could find him, but we did. And my brother's doing a lot better today. He's a Western author. He's got his fifth book that he's just published is getting ready to be made into a movie. It's called Platoro, the Summer Range. But if he would have gave up, he wouldn't have got to see that book become a movie or anything like that. And so I think part of what I do is just encouraging people who may be feeling like they're ready to give up to hang on, and to realize that no matter if you're in the bottom of a valley, there's still the opportunity to climb out of that valley and have a life with purpose. And so that was one story that
That's a
really,
beautiful story, man.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
that I got goosebumps. So
yeah.
that's an amazing story.
Um, another one would be we took a Marine that was blind, had zero vision, couldn't see anything, and we took him deer hunting. It was 2018. He was in the blind with me, and we had to just kind of guide his rifle, tell him, if he was on the deer or not, hoping that he would hit it. He ended up shooting a doe at 70 yards, but
Wow.
he had he was doing some type of combat diving class or something like that. Um, he ended up drowning. They ended up reviving him, but there was some brain damage there. He had spent his I guess his dad at the time had put him into like a convalescent home, because since he could not speak or communicate or talk or anything, they weren't sure there was any brain activity, and so he laid in a convalescent home for 7 years. And we were the first thing, once they found out that his brain had activity, um, they were able to get some type of an injunction and get him out of there and be able to start working with him. And so at our event, he was barely able to talk a little bit. He couldn't move much, but um, he was able to talk, say a few words, and he ended up getting a deer that morning, his first deer. And to me, to see that young man, after all he had been through, after laying in a home for all those years, with no one knowing that he was fully functional in his brain, but unable to communicate with anybody. Now he's doing a lot better. He can talk fluently, where you can understand him. But that was his first opportunity to do anything once he got out of there and got into the outdoors, and we were able to help him shoot a deer at 70 yards, being 100% totally blind.
Wow, that's those are amazing stories, and I'm almost speechless just because that hits home, and it's very touching, and those are things that truly changed your brother's life and changed that soldier's life and gave them hope, against all odds, to not only look. So when you can see, it's hard enough to shoot a deer, and so to be blind and to do all of that was pretty special. So thank you for sharing those. I'll share a couple with you on the turkey side that, again, just what the outdoors, I think, will do. I mean, you're doing something for these soldiers, and the beautiful thing is the outdoors does something, I think, for people in general, whether you're a soldier or, you're not, and, you served or not. But I had the opportunity, we did a turkey hunt and a hog hunt down in South Florida through my brother's foundation. And so I would go down and help guide some, Osceolas on this big ranch. And I had two soldiers, and, these guys had done so much, but never had really been in the outdoors, never had hunted. And so, we got on some turkeys, and, just the whole dynamic of calling and them, they're trying to process and understand and bring the birds in. And we had a tough morning. And so I knew the birds had pitched on the other side of the swamp, and we were in this pasture. And I said, you know what, it's getting late. Let's just go after them. We got nothing to lose. So we go after him, cut across the pasture, come on the point of this, this cypress head. And I could see and hear the birds were in this other pasture. And there were a couple gobblers with a bunch of hens. They weren't going to leave those hens, and, I had to fire up the hens to hopefully get them to come. And so we set up on the other side of this creek on this dike, and I set the decoys up and literally had these guys 5 feet in a prone position on their bellies, and I'm in between calling them and calling these birds. And sure enough, they came, and these guys got to just shoot from the prone position right behind the decoy, come up, and they just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And so I was just so joyful to see them do something that they had never done. You and I have probably done that 1,000 times. And, and so it was just, that experience of what that was. And to see them kind of get into that mode when the birds were coming and take care of business and do it the right way. And they were so appreciative. So that's a hunt that I'll never forget. And the funny thing is about the outdoors is, I had a chance that afternoon, once I got the soldiers, their birds, to take my dad turkey hunting. And he's got severe Parkinson's disease. And, he was an old cowboy. We grew up on a big cattle ranch down in Florida. And, you talk about the show Yellowstone, and that back in the 70s, my dad lived that life. It was on a 30,000 acre cattle ranch, and, that was the life, and we grew up that way. And he was a rough and tough cowboy, and he got bucked off a horse and hurt his neck. And I think that was part of why he got Parkinson's at age 55, and he was in his mid 70s. And so we go out there, and I got him set up in a chair, and he's shaking and, trembling really bad. And, I got these birds, to come in, or I saw him out in the pasture, and, I got him to come in. And Tron, it was amazing that when those birds got to 40 yards to 20, I'm getting a little choked up here. He stopped shaking.
Wow.
It was amazing. It was just like, he was just the shotgun is shaking on the stand, and I'm trying to talk to him and everything. And it was just like the light switch went on, and it was go time. And he just reverted back to, like he didn't even have anything. And these birds came in, were tearing up the decoy, and he shot and made an amazing shot. And it was just, he could barely get out there and, get the bird, but I got it for him and everything. And it was just one of the coolest things to see what the outdoors did for him and help him, like literally for about 5 minutes, he didn't have Parkinson's anymore.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
That's an incredible story. And, then every single person that comes has a story, whether it's their story growing up and how they grew up or what happened to them in Iraq or Afghanistan, or maybe they're a
Yep.
Vietnam veteran, but every one of them has a story. But to see that story have a exclamation point on it through a hunt that they get to be on, in your case, you and your dad, that had to be probably one of the highlights of your life,
It was, and my
to
dad was a veteran too, and he wasn't there for that. It was just, he was there to support, but it was a highlight just as a human being, as a parent,
Mhm.
as to see what the outdoors can do. And when somebody's dealing with something, it's just like, it's amazing what the outdoors does for people. So thank you for letting me share that story.
Oh, you bet.
So let's talk about how people can get engaged and find your organization, and whether they want to contribute financially, whether they have a family member. What is the process, and where can they go to learn more and become involved?
One of the easiest ways is to go to our website, which is petersonoutdoors.org. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so any contributions are tax deductible. That's probably the best way. They can look up Lodge of Hope or Peterson Outdoors Ministries. We've got a Facebook page. But a lot of times, word of mouth, if anyone knows of a veteran out there that or their family that could use what we do, all of our events from the time I started in 2006 till now have all been free of charge. We've never
Yeah, it's
charged
amazing.
anything. We cover all the travel expenses for the whole family, the airline tickets, hunting, fishing licenses, all the activities, food, lodging, everything. And so, back whenever we were just taking one person at a time, it was a lot easier to cover those expenses.
Yeah.
At that time, I got involved and became a member of, it's called POMA, it's Professional Outdoor Media Association.
Mm-hmm.
And really that kind of helped propel a lot of what we're doing now, meeting a lot of people in the outdoor industry. Lori Lee Dovey was a very big impact in my life. People like Brad Harris, just a lot of people in the outdoor industry believed in what we were doing, taking these veterans. And so kind of these 15 years of helping veterans has also been, 15 years of having that support from the outdoor industry, which I believe is key in, in helping put on a lot of these events. There's a lot of individuals who have contacts and have locations across the country where these veterans can go and get outdoors, provide opportunities for them. But if someone wants to find out about Peterson Outdoors Ministries, they can get on our website. We would love to, we're open all year round, 365 days a year. We do events in Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Tennessee, and Canada. In fact, I believe you might know our Canada connection, Mark St. Cyr up there.
Okay.
We take veterans up there fishing and bear hunting and all that. And so we do events all across the United States. So there's a lot of opportunities to get involved.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. And look, I've done a lot of bear hunting and whitetail hunting in Canada, and that is an experience of a lifetime as well. So look, anybody that's listening right now, that's part of our audience, please comment, please take the time to nominate anybody. Go check out the websites and the work that Tron is doing in his organization, and share it with anybody that that may need some help and may need to participate and be involved. So Tron, again, thank you so much for today. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Is there any other info or any other bits of information you want to share before we close out, to just make sure people, are dialed in and know where they can get any other information?
Yes. I would just like to say, I know that a podcast like this with an audience like what you have, there are individuals who may be struggling. There are veterans who contacted me right after everything happened in Afghanistan a little over a month ago. I got a lot of phone calls. You could reach out and talk to somebody. If you get an opportunity to get a hold of us through our website, We can get you out on a hunt. Um, it's one of those things, like Brian said, like you said, that the outdoors is healing and therapeutic. And we're a faith-based organization. We believe that there's purpose out there and there's hope, and that's why we named our Lodge of Hope, place of healing. And we also reach out to first responders. And so if there's anybody out there that's listening, we do events for first responders. We just had LA County Sheriff's Department out there in,
Wow.
I guess it was August, and brought them from California, and just, had an incredible time with them. And so whether it's a kid with a disability, a disabled veteran, a first responder, or military chaplain, and their families, we're here for them. We want to make a difference. I want to make a difference with my life. And so this is one way for me to give back.
Yeah, listen, Tron, just thank you so very much. And, God bless you, and for the work that you're doing in the organization. And, you're the kind of people that make a difference and do it from the bottom of your heart, and do it for the right reasons. And we need more people like you in this country. And thank you for what you do and for everybody. So that'll do it for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And again, just remember to, rate, review, subscribe, share the content, and, anything related to SPYPOINT, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of that. We want to grow this community and appreciate, all the support that you guys provide. So thank you for joining the SPYPOINT podcast today. Until next time.